Allô, bonjour mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue sur caricarzcom. Je m'appelle Caricarzmi et aujourd'hui, nous testons le nouveau 4.0 GT de Peugeot. C'est parti! My name is Caricarzmi, you're with us back at caricarz.com, and today we are reviewing something rather peculiar in the Peugeot 408 GT. Well, let me show you what I mean about peculiar. Okay, I say weird because the 408 was designed from the ground up to merge the best of two worlds. What are those worlds? Well, firstly, it's a sleek four-door saloon coupe-like thing, and secondly, a lifted yet rugged crossover SUV. And the end result is indeed very, very peculiar, but what's also evident is that the end result looks very, very French. So let's talk exterior, starting with the front end of the Peugeot 408, and in GT form, there's definitely no mistaking this Peugeot for anything else because it's very, very distinct thanks to its signature new grille design. But I just want to point out something very interesting here. Check out the new Peugeot badge. Yes folks, the 408 is the first new generation Peugeot to go on sale in our market, featuring the very latest Peugeot emblem. Down the side, you will start to notice some of the crossover SUV touches, beginning with this black wheel arch cladding, very common, very popular amongst crossover SUVs, as well as the rather generous 189mm ground clearance. But I think the 408, especially in range-topping GT form as tested, really catches the eye from the side thanks to its wheels. I mean, just check out the way this 20-inch two-tone geometric wheels are designed. I think they look very much out there, but I'm more curious to know what sort of adjectives would you use to describe the wheels, so let me know in the comments below. Okay, what's also interesting with our tester in particular is this lovely shade of blue it wears. In fact, it is called Obsession Blue, but I think its name sounds better in French because in French it's called Obsession Bleu. And the quirkiness continues in the rear quarter of the Peugeot 408's exterior because up top you will find typical traits of a sleek, modern four-door saloon coupe-like thing, hence the very steep roofline as present in the tailgate, plus below which check out the claw-themed LED taillights. I think up to this point it looks fantastic until you investigate things below the beltline, because here it starts to become an SUV again. Namely, in the rear you will find this black bumper cladding thing. Now I'm still trying to fathom this mix at the back. I dig the front end more, but I know there's an appeal for such a thing. Let me know what you think of its looks from the rear in the comments below. Okay, let's talk powertrain, and for the Malaysian market at least, all three variants of the Peugeot 408 share a familiar 1.6-litre four-cylinder turbo petrol mill. In fact, Peugeot has continuously evolved this mill over the years, and in the 408 today, it makes 218 horsepower and 300 Nm torque. Typically French set outputs drive the front wheels, this time through an updated 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, I'll give you my take of the powertrain along with the driving experience much later, but just know that under its skin, the Peugeot 408 has a rather traditional powertrain, despite what its untraditional exterior would lead you to believe. And now let's move into the cabin, and I'd like to start with the first conflict, one that is expected when you try to merge a sleek fastback four-door saloon with a lifted crossover SUV, because firstly, in the back, there's a lot of space. It's very comfortable, it's wide, and it's also posh, but that coupe roofline comes at the price of headroom, especially if you're a tall, lanky bloke like me. So if you need space and it's a priority, perhaps a proper crossover SUV might do you better. Now, one SUV trait I like about the interior of the 408, especially in range-topping GT form, is its rear boot, plus its tailgate, because in this range topper, it comes standard equipped with a powered tailgate, which gives you niftier access to a rather cavernous standard boot space of 536 litres. Good news, the rear seats I showed you earlier are split folding, which means you could expand this further. So in other words, in terms of practicality, the 408 GT has got this covered quite well. And now we move into the hot seat of the Peugeot 408 GT, because this is where this GT range topper in particular really shines, and a lot of that stems from the fact that it is equipped with a lot of toys. And I mean a lot, starting with up front, drivers are treated with this very cool 3D quartz digital meter display. I've not seen anything like this in any other vehicle of the same price and size, so that's very cool. In the center, you will find a massive touchscreen infotainment display that offers built-in navigation functions amongst many other things, but more importantly, it offers offers wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, below which you will find a secondary touch panel display that offers shortcuts, and I think this is a very, very nifty touch. Below that, you will find physical controls, thank God, and right below which, for the GT variant, it comes equipped with a wireless charging pad. Other very cool toys and features to note is the fact that this 408 comes loaded with USB-C charge ports for the front and rear passengers, dual zone automatic air conditioning with dedicated rear passenger vents, keyless entry and ignition, a massive sunroof, and in the case of this GT variant in particular, it comes with some very exclusive toys like a 10-speaker focal audio system that sounds pretty decent. Not to mention, for the driver's seat, it's power adjustable and features memory function plus built-in massage feature. So I think this car, safe to say, is rather fully loaded in GT trim. Now, while all that sounds very cool, there is one caveat to the cabin of any Peugeot, and this 408 is no exception to which, because it features Peugeot's novel iCockpit design ethos, and one of the key touch of which is a rather compact steering wheel size. So this might take a little while to get used to for most folks, but otherwise it's safe to say that this Peugeot 408's cabin is fantastic in terms of looks and in terms of kit. And before I forget, if you are seated up front in the 408 in GT guys as tested, you'll benefit with powered seat adjustments as well as built-in seat massage function. Alright, driving the Peugeot 408 GT, and unsurprisingly, just like the way it looks, this thing feels quite conflicted with the way it drives as well. I'll start with the negatives first, and thankfully these are very few and far in between. Let me start with the ride, because this thing, thanks to its lifted ride height, rides on long travel suspension, and what that means is that when you throw the 408 GT in and out of corners fast, there's a lot of body roll, which translates to quite a bit of understeer. But let me stress the fact that this only happens if you push the 408 GT into corners fast. Now, the other thing that takes a little bit of time to get used to is the fact that the 1.6 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder powertrain I showed you earlier isn't the peppiest or the most responsive thing in class. Despite the fact that Stellantis and Peugeot have updated this powertrain over the years, I still think it lacks a little bit of pep. In fact, 0 to 100 takes 8.8 seconds, which, if you think about it, is neither here nor there. Now, otherwise, those are just few of the quirks that I don't like with the way this 408 GT drives. Let's go into the positives, and they're quite big ones here too. Okay, having long travel suspension and very high ground clearance means that this is not the most sharpest thing to drive, but it does mean that this is the most comfortable thing to drive instead. Yes, with that much suspension travel and ground clearance, the 408 GT soaks up road perfections and bumps almost perfectly, and that's despite the fact that this GT variant rolls on massive 20-inch wheels. I will also add that the comfort factor is bolstered by the fact that typically of any European make, this 408 GT's cabin is laced with very, very high levels of NVH, or noise, vibration and harshness suppression. Now, the other plus point about the way this Peugeot 408 GT drives is that it feels quite versatile, more so given the fact that there are 3 selectable drive modes present. They are Eco, Normal and Sport. They're all very self-explanatory. Sport is where this car feels the most angriest, most responsive, whilst Eco feels the most, well, subdued. And naturally, Normal is where things feel very, very nice. That is the sweet spot. And I will also add that this is a very friendly car to drive for the daily, given the next set of facts I'm about to lay out. Alright, up to this point, we've deduced that the new Peugeot 408, even in range-topping GT form, is neither the fastest nor the sharpest thing to drive for the money, but I will argue its prowess stems from the fact that it is very versatile, very comfortable, and most importantly, very, very safe. A lot of that last bit stems from the fact that the basics are covered well here. I mean, Peugeot laced the cabin with no less than 6 airbags. There's ABS with traction and stability control suites present. Plus, there's also ISOFIX child seat anchors, plus seat belts for all seats. Now, for the range-topping GT variant in particular, there's the added benefit of additional ADAS features, or advanced driving assistance systems. Highlights include adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitor, forward collision warning and autonomous emergency braking, lane departure warning and lane keep assist, plus a very nifty 360-degree parking camera with rear cross traffic alert, amongst many other things. So I guess for the money it commands, this is a respectably loaded and safe car to be in. And I guess that just boils down to what you are looking for in this particular segment of sedans and crossovers. If you want both of them merged into one, well, it's safe to say that this Peugeot 408 has no other rivals when it comes to that. That's basically everything I can tell you in a nutshell about the new Peugeot 408 in range topping GT form as tested. It's a little bit weird, but at the same time it's also quite cool in a lot of other areas. But overall, I think some of you are already digging how Peugeot somewhat perfectly mixed the best of a lifted crossover SUV with the styling and poshness of a four-door fastback saloon coupe thing. Now, be warned, if you like what you see, the 408 in GT form as tested is not a bargain. In fact, it costs just slightly under 197,000 ringgit. There is a silver lining to that price because it includes a 7-year or 200,000 km warranty offered by Stellantis Malaysia. Well, what do you folks think of the Peugeot 408 GT then? Is it cool? Is it weird? Is it meh? Let me know in the comments below with your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, visit caricarzcom/news for more.